before we go in and talk about the topic, and did you just want to, my name's Melanie and I'm just going to be helping Anne today by making sure that she sees all your questions, and I will make sure that they get answered before the end of the session. You're happy to stay on right to the end, aren't you, Anne? And if
that's
got the questions. So if I see something that's relevant, we'll bring it up as we go. If not, we'll catch them all at the end. But would you like to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and why you are talking about this topic?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Anne from Global Training Institute. And first of all, I'm going to say Happy Australia Day to everybody. So yes, whatever flag you choose for this week.
Are you a day early?
No, that's okay. Look, I'm into celebrating all sorts of good things. So you can't make things last too long. So yeah, and today we really are going to be talking about what's great about Australia, the opportunities that we have as business owners, employers, and why we really should be congratulating ourselves, welcoming the opportunities that we get to be living in this wonderful country. So everybody have a great Australia Day tomorrow and enjoy, and we will find out lots of opportunities that are available to us today. Awesome. So yeah, basically my husband Shane and I own Global Training Institute. Been around for over 16 years. We're not going anywhere, so feel very comfortable when you're dealing with us that we've been here a long time and are planning on being here as well. So yeah, we've got over 40 staff. We've got over 1,000 students in all states and territories of Australia as well as overseas. There's some students as well that train with us online over there. So have a really high completion rate because our training relates to everybody's workplace and it's all very practical. So when you're dealing with us, your employees will be working on your policies, procedures and systems for your company. So they won't be doing exams, they won't be doing essays or silly little activities out of books. It'll be very practical for you and your business. So just keep that in mind as we go through today. That's us. And let's get on to hearing about what you're wanting to hear about today, which is the wage subsidy and the training opportunities to upskill your people.
Okay, so just before we do that, give us a bit of a quick summary of the sort of companies that you've managed to get approved, and you'll explain how and why in a moment.
Yes.
For this wage subsidy and this upskilling.
Okay, so a lot of these are going to relate to everybody who is online today, which is great. So we've got approvals for all states. So under this program we're going to discuss today, we've got approvals from every single state in Australia, and these are some of the industries you'll see on the thing there. So there's civil construction, we've got civil construction on today. There was real estate, we've got real estate on today. IT, I know we had some IT on today, accounting firms and things. So yeah, so they're the kind of industries that we've got, you'll see on the screen, and so which will relate very comfortably to the people that we've got on today's webinar as well. So yeah, you'll know that yes, we're working with you, people from your type of industry, understanding that every business is unique, but yes, we do, our trainers and people do understand your environment where you come from.
Awesome. So what is this thing that you're going to talk about today?
Okay, so being part of Australia, our government has been wonderful in the fact of looking at coming out of COVID. They've said, how can we support our Australian business owners and employers? So even if your company's from overseas, still eligible, but so the Australian employers, how can we assist you to come out of COVID? How can we upskill our people? And so they've got a program called Boosting Apprenticeship Commencement, not just for apprentices.
Because as soon as you say that, people are going to go, oh no, we don't have trades, we don't have apprentices, or we've already got our apprentices. So I really encourage people to stick around for the next 5 minutes and hear the whole explanation, because they might be surprised, hey?
Definitely. So this is not just for apprentices, it's for, so basically it's for all your employees. They can be 45, they can have university qualifications, they can be 20 and have no qualifications. It's for everybody. So stick around because you probably have some people that's going to think. So basically the government is offering a 50% wage rebate up to $28,000 per employee who participates in professional development and undertakes an approved course. So it reimburses any business, non-profit or council up to 50% of the wages. So the only people that can't participate are state government and federal government, Commonwealth government departments.
So I know you're going to explain this in a moment, and if anyone's got questions, just drop them in as soon as you think of them and we will make sure we cover them. But this is, people could do like a leadership diploma or something, couldn't they? We're not just
absolutely.
Talking about
leadership management, project management. Yeah, you can be doing environment or sustainability things. You can be doing some auditing things, so HR. So yeah, so it's a very wide range program that the government has put out, looking at upskilling our economy. And so it's already over 217,000 employees who were on the program in November. I saw Josh Frydenberg on the ABC on Thursday night last week, and he said there's over 220,000 people upskilling now at the moment. So if you haven't got your people on at the moment, then today's the day to actually get on and enjoy and participate in this program and have your people join the 220,000 already on there. So at the moment you're missing out. So,
and it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you first started talking about this, people were like, nah, that can't be right. But now there's actually 220,000 or more than 220,000 employees actually getting it. So we have our first question from Precious. You are going to cover this, I think, but just in case we don't, 50% of wages, question mark, how do you calculate that for part-time?
Okay, so basically, very quickly, I'll cover that. What happens is at the end of each quarter, so you have to register the people onto the program as either a new worker or an existing worker, trainee or apprentice. At the end of each of the quarters, so you March, September, December and June, whatever it was there. So at the end of each of those, you will get a little reminder to say, please put up the wage slips for your people that are registered on the program. So if they're part-time or they're full-time, you'll pop their wage slips up. Whoever's sitting at the other end adds them all up and divides it by 2. And if you've paid them more than $14,000 for the quarter, then you'll still only get $7,000 returned to you. If you've paid them less than $14,000, you'll get half of whatever you paid them for that quarter.
So basically, if they're part-time and they're earning $56,000 a year part-time, you'll still get half. If they're part-time and they're earning less than that, then you'll just get half of what you pay them.
You'll get half of what, yes.
Okay, cool. And I know you're going to explain this in a bit more detail in a moment. So just a bit of proof that it's a real thing for anybody who's still left in doubt. I don't think there's too many of those anymore.
No, not anymore. When there's 220,000, everybody, all the employees just go, quick, how do I get this so that I don't miss out?
Which is actually an important point, isn't it?
That is a very important point, because the program is finishing currently at the end of March. And to get your people registered is taking a couple of weeks. So we're saying to all employers at the moment, get in, get your paperwork done and get your people registered so that you don't miss out. So don't leave it to the middle of March, or you may not get a registration meeting that you need.
And I guess like any of these things, as we get closer to the time, the queue's going to get longer, isn't it? Because all the people that have been like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that, including myself. I want to hire one more person. I'm like, oh, I'm nearly running out of time.
Yeah, we're sorting this out at the moment as well as an employer, making sure that we get our last couple of people are registered for this program as well.
Okay, so what's in it for employers?
Okay, for employers, it is definitely a win. You're going to save dollars on your wages bill, but now keep in mind, it is a rebate. You must be able to pay your people wage and then get rebated back that half. So So just watch your cash flow and all of that. But as your people are going to be upskilling, the training is relating to their job. So they will become very well inducted. So most of the people you'll be putting on now will be your new workers, your new staff. Part-time that you've employed over the last 12 months or full-time in the last sort of 3 months. And so as they're getting involved working with your policies, procedures and systems for your business, they're going to really get a very solid foundation for being able to work with you. So it's an opportunity to add for upskilling your employees, sorting out different systems in your business. You're going to be able to train them and have some dollars left over for extra training as well, to upskill the people into exactly what you need for your business for today.
Which is actually...
we'll all agree business is different today from what it was in 2019 pre-COVID. So we need to upskill and be prepared for today's economy and world.
And we sometimes we need to hire people with 3/4 of the skills we need and then fill the gap at the moment, isn't there? That idea of being able to find the perfect person and buy them off the shelf has disappeared at the moment, because there's such a lot of jobs going.
Yes. So if you can find somebody, yes, then that's even a benefit at the moment of actually having some people apply for jobs and then having to really look at their skills and then getting them trained.
Now we've got a couple more questions before we go into the next slide. And I know you won't probably uncover this one. Is there a minimum number of hours for part-time workers to be eligible?
Okay, so each state is slightly different. So I will tell you now, at the end of this webinar, we will send you a sheet and that you'll be able to work on to identify your people, and on that sheet you're going to have a different tab for every state. So majority of states are around 15 hours a week for a part-time averaged over the month. But however, each state is slightly different. So depending what state, so all the Victoria people click on the Victoria tab, New South Wales click on New South Wales tab, and you can delete the other tabs. If you've got people in multiple states, and just keep all tabs and then have a look. But anything in particular to your state, we've listed it on your state sheet.
So of course all states have different rules because, you know, Australia, but you'll make sure that you get the different.
But one day we will try and be united tomorrow. The rest of the time it's very much independently states working.
I'm not sure if you meant to scrunch up the flag, I think, or maybe it's only Americans that don't do that.
Oh, we have to have it wide. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, mine's designed to go around my shoulders ready for tomorrow. So.
Oh, right. Oh, good Aussie that you are. Okay, what about university graduates? Are they eligible? That's another question we have.
Absolutely. So yes, we're working with a bunch of engineers in one of the companies. You can have an MBA, you can have, so yes, university graduates are perfectly fine and approved. The government does not discriminate against them. So this is a non-discriminatory thing for this whole program.
So you could put like an engineer on a project management course.
In project management or leadership and management, yes.
And you've got some PhDs doing environmental stuff or something too.
Yes, we have as well.
Okay, one more question and then we'll move on. What's the minimum level of qualification that this covers?
Okay, so basically, yeah, it will cover certificate 2s and 3s, you know, the people in training programs. We only offer certificate 4 and diplomas and advanced diplomas from our college here at Global Training. So basically all people are welcome to come in if they haven't got with us. If they haven't got a certificate 4 or a year 12, then they'll just do a simple numeracy and literacy test. Okay. But we've got support mechanisms. So it's open for everybody.
So one more question and then I promise we will actually move on because this is a good question. Thank you, Louise. What about existing employees who are already doing the role, but they don't have formal qualifications, they've just got work experience?
Okay, so there's a very limited, we'll cover existing workers coming up, so thanks for the question. There is very limited qualifications and courses that existing workers can access under this program. But outside of the program, very happy to be working with people to upskill and provide qualifications for the jobs that they're doing. So we'll cover that in a moment.
Oops, I think one of us froze.
That's okay. Okay, so win for employees. So what's in it for the employees? Okay, professional development opportunities. Okay, the people love to know when, especially if they've got a new job or again, if they've been working in the role, that they can actually be upskilled in their job and get recognised for that. So they will be learning lots and lots for themselves as well as the business as they're getting into your company's policies, procedures and systems, and then gaining that qualification. So it is the latest skills for their use for their work and their career progression as well. Everybody loves a pat on the back. Everybody loves to think that their employer is supporting their career development. And very much when you look at all of the reports and the surveys into what people are valuing in companies, then that's what they sort of looking for, that they are actually valued in there. You'll find that our students, when they work with us, really appreciate the professional development that they received. Yeah, I get pages and pages of feedback from our students all the time. This one just says, I just want to say once more, thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed the training. I've learned so much and have much more confidence in my abilities and my skills. So that's what we all want in our employees, because if they're more confident and knowing in their skills, then they'll go and actually work independently. And so as employers and HR people, they're not going to be annoying us so much. They can actually get on. We can actually do our jobs as well, looking at growing the company and things.
And it probably helps with retention at the moment too, doesn't it? If you're willing to upskill people, then they're going to stick around more.
Oh, precisely. Yes. Like I've had somebody that's been working with me for January, and because I've just trained them and they can usually do something now, they can only work for me part-time coming forward from here, but I'll take a part-time because, yeah, they've learned something and can be of use to me in the business.
So on the eligibility question, which we're getting a few questions about that, do you just want to step us through who's eligible?
Okay, so who's eligible? All businesses, organisations and local councils in all states and all industries. So any employer, any size, any industry, any location.
So one of the differences with this compared to something like JobKeeper is that your company can be owned overseas as long as your employees are in Australia. It doesn't matter what your turnover is. If you're under 75,000 and you've got one employee, it's still possible, isn't it? Those kinds of things.
Yeah. So I'm talking to the HR person. Yeah, it's an international company. HR person works out of New Zealand, but they've got people in Victoria and New South Wales, and I'm talking to them this afternoon. So all sorts of combinations. But as long as the employees are employed in Australia and you're growing the business here in Australia, the government has got this program open for you. So it's Australian citizens, Kiwi citizens who have been here for more than 6 months, and those that are on their way to PR or have PR. Right. So remember, it's not just your junior staff, it's your experienced staff are all eligible. So just start thinking as we go through some questions here in a moment of the people. Start jotting some names down, or make it the first priority of when the webinar's over to go and find out all of the people that are eligible in your company.
Because it's got broader residency than JobKeeper used to have too, doesn't it? Like, anybody who's got a visa with a P next to it, that means they can stay, are eligible, whereas JobKeeper, that was not the case, I believe. I've got a few more questions just before we move on, a few more questions. We have, is financial planners eligible? Is the financial planning profession eligible?
Yes, we don't discriminate and say financial planners, you're definitely in.
Yeah, and so the financial planning course you guys don't offer, but they could do a business course or a leadership course or something else. Okay, here's a question from Jodie. Is it open to employees who are still at school?
Okay, there is a school-based program for it. We aren't involved in that. You would need to talk to the apprenticeship centre people for that, a Busy at Work or an MEGT or a Mass National. So yeah, we don't deal with anything about school-based, so I won't be covering that today.
Okay, back on the existing staff, and I know you're going to cover that in a second, but do existing staff members that have recently changed position qualify? Anne-Marie, I assume you mean in the same organisation?
Yeah, so we'll cover that in the future, but no. So it's got to be within a new company or a new business structure, not just a changed role.
However, you are going to cover the couple of courses that are available for some existing workers, so still worth listening on. Okay, here's another good question from Adrian. Can you register an employee who is partway through their studies, or do they have to be undertaking a new course?
That's a good question for checking.
It probably depends how far through, whether they're on a traineeship, and you might want to talk to, and you might want to talk to Adrian separately and find out the details.
Send us an email to that one, Adrian, and we can check it out with the apprenticeship centre mob, because I don't do the rules on that one, but definitely worthwhile asking.
Okay, another question, and I know this is one I had to find out for myself, so I can probably answer it if you can't. Are you still eligible if we're already getting a wage subsidy for the employee from the government job employment agency? Do you want me to answer that one? Yes. So basically, if you're getting any state funding, then yes, they are eligible. So if you're getting, so for example, Victoria is giving up to $20,000 at the moment if you hire a new employee. So you could claim the 20 from Victoria and the 28 from the federal government, because it's federal government money. But if you're getting like the $10,000 for hiring someone who's long-term unemployed that the federal government is paying, the Commonwealth government, you can't double dip with the Commonwealth government. It's one or the other. So you can claim one Commonwealth and one state bucket of money, but not two Commonwealth buckets. Let me know, Precious, if that answered your question. And one more question before we move on, Anne. What about existing full-time employees that need upskilling? Okay, I think let's cover that.
Yeah, let's move on.
We'll cover that. Okay, so do you want to explain, first of all, the new employee? Because some of these existing employees that people are talking about might actually be new employees under the definition anyway, hopefully.
Okay, so this is anybody who are new hires. So answer yourself, have a think about this as we ask you to go through these and identify if you've got any yeses. So have you hired anybody new in the last 90 days? So that's from the end of October. So if you've hired anybody new full-time in the last 90 days, start quickly writing down those names, because they're going to be eligible.
Yes, so what's the date today, the 25th? So if you've hired anybody since like the 27th of October, you need to move on this pretty quickly. Yeah.
Okay, if you've hired anyone part-time in the last 12 months, so that's sort of more than that, say we'll go 15 hours a week, some is 13, but if you've hired anyone part-time in the last 12 months, so that's from the end of January last year, then just quickly write down those names because they'll be eligible as well. So any casuals that you've got that you can upgrade to part-time or full-time, and I'll have a sheet about casuals in a moment to just discuss those ones. Have a look at those because they may be eligible as well. And so any part-timers that you've upgraded or you can upgrade to full-time, no matter how long they've been there. So there's so that's a really key thing too, so because you may wish to upgrade them for very quickly now, give them a contract for 15 months or so to actually upgrade them and be able to get that through. But for if you're moving people around for contracts and employment things, I've got a slide for that and tell you who can give you a hand with all of that.
And one of the things, if you're upgrading casuals to part-time or part-timers to full-time, that we have been getting some pushback from the agencies at the moment, that you have to do that at the time when you sign them onto this program. You can't have done it 89 days ago because the clock doesn't reset for another 90 days. So they can have been with you for 20 years, but you've got to sign them up at the time of the upgrade. So do you want to explain this casual business that you were just mentioning?
Okay, so yes, so if you have got contract issues, here's a company to contact Constructive Legal Solutions, and they will help you walk through whether or not moving your contracts from part-time to full-time, casuals to full-time, checking out, because you can have a quick read, but then you've got some obligations about your casual employees, because often as employers, your casuals may actually have already been classed as part-timers. So if you employ any casual people, I just fully recommend from a totally different point of view, as a fellow employer, just contact these guys and get them to check out with you to make sure that you're on the right path, because none of us have got time to be sitting in IR legal scenarios and fighting over with employees over who was what and everything extra. So cover your rear end with this, and also see whether or not there's an opportunity that you can actually shift some casuals to part-time or part-timers to full-timers, and so that you can actually also access this program.
Because basically, if your casuals are going to be deemed part-time anyway by the law, and you're going to have to start paying them holiday pay and stuff, then you may as well get half their wages back in the process of changing them over.
For the next 12 months.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about the courses that new employees can do, and then we'll talk about what the options are for existing workers as well.
All right, so new employees with us at Global Training Institute, we're doing Certificate 4 in Business, and we've got options for marketing, admin and operational sort of focuses there, so that covers lots of your employees. Project management we do for either Certificate 4 or a diploma, depending whether the people are a part of your project team or they're managing projects for you. We do environmental management and sustainability in some of the states, and we've got some great new employers coming on. One of the employers actually wrote the first 14 sessions for Better Homes and Gardens, and so we're looking at bringing on this. Yeah, he's into greenscapes and putting green things into cities and vertical gardens and things. So yeah, that's pretty cool working with Peter. Leadership and management, we do lots of working with lots of civil construction companies throughout the country, and then there's diploma, so human resources management, local government. Now each of these qualifications will change per state that you're in, and so what you've just got to do is, again, on the sheet that we send you, just check on the state tab, and then you'll see what's available for you in your state.
Okay, and these are the sort of roles that people could be in that could do one of these courses, right? So you want to explain the connection between role and course, why it matters?
Okay, so because it's going to be a traineeship, the person you can't just go and pick, oh, I'd like to train in this. You actually have to pick a course that will relate to the person's job. And so, yeah, so if they're in marketing or operations or administrations, then you actually pick something to relate to their job.
So for example, the marketing and administration ones, you've got a business course that's got some like digital marketing units and things in it, haven't you? That a lot of people are finding quite useful.
So I know today on one of the webinars, on the webinar here today is a disability services organisation from one of the states. Okay, so in their case, for those frontline workers with disability, they'll need to do a Certificate 3 or individual support. We don't offer that at our company, but other RTOs will be able to offer that for your frontline staff, so they wouldn't actually need to do that. But any of your leaders, your team leaders in those programs, or your project managers or your admin staff in the office, we can certainly work with those people. So yeah, so it just depends who you're employing at the moment, but we say take it up for everybody. Melanie is on as well. If there's courses that we don't do that relate to your job, she can help and find those for you as well.
Okay, so basically, if they're a new employee, there's going to be a course to fit them, really.
Yes, absolutely.
And Now, what about existing employees though? That's a different story.
So existing employees is a much, much tinier field of things that you can do. So if you've got people with us, civil construction, so the civil construction firms that are in, or the councils that are in, or construction companies that do civil construction.
We've got some civil construction people on this webinar today.
Yeah, so we have a certificate in civil construction supervision, and we do it with operations. So that's for your leading hands, your supervisors, your project managers, your foremen that don't have their Cert 4 in civil supervision. And so that is approved. So really keen to talk to each of you people there with that. Everybody else, if you've got somebody who is working as a workplace health and safety officer and doesn't have their Cert 4, and that's majority of their role, then happy to talk to you about them as well.
Do you want to just explain how that doesn't mean every single person that works for you can do workplace health and safety?
Yeah, so unfortunately at the end of last year, lots of companies were trying to put everybody on. So you had KFCs and things trying to put on like 14 and 16 WHS officers. And I kind of go to KFC to get chicken and chips. Or some of the chicken places, so yeah, not for WHS. So, and some of the RSLs were looking at trying to put all their bar staff on and everything extra. So it was kind of a thing where the government then pulled it back in the program in to say, no, this is only for legitimate workplace health and safety people. So there is a few others. If you're in a traditional company that has traditional apprentices and you want to put some more apprentices on that have been with you for longer than that 12 months, those existing workers can come on.
Yeah, and so there are a few other existing worker courses that you guys don't have, but they're more traditional trades related, aren't they, Jen?
Yes. And there is a couple like cyber security, a couple of the new things into the market, but again, we don't train those ones. But the apprenticeship centre, so you're busy at work or your MEGT or your Mass National will be able to go and find those for you.
So let's just quickly check the questions. I think we've answered some of them, but let's just recap the latest ones. So existing full-time employees that need upskilling, if they've had 2 years with the company, etc. Brad, I'm not sure what industry you were in, but if it's one of these two courses, then the answer would be yes, wouldn't it, Anne?
Yes, certainly help you. Otherwise, there is other funding opportunities, and we certainly train. So we've got a lot of employers that have got some people on this program. And their existing workers, they're actually, we've worked out a fee, they're paying us fee for service, and we're looking at other funding opportunities I've got in each of the states. And so we're running, so some employees, they're using the dollars left over from this program to actually fund their training for their other people. So I'm running like leadership and management programs for all across their organisations, and they're paying for some and using the dollars that they've had left over from this program from their new employees and things. So they're still looking at it as a holistic upskilling, and I'm definitely am training lots of workplace health and safety people that aren't actually on this program, because everybody's needing workplace health and safety at the moment. So yeah, so if you can get people on the program, great. Use the extra spare dollars to upskill your other people as well.
That makes sense. Now, a question from Louise: are these the courses available at your institute, or is that the full list of the program?
Okay, so these are the two that are available at our institute.
Actually, I think Louise might have asked that when we're looking at the new worker list, but I was a bit slow.
The new worker, yes. So they're the ones that we've got registered, and again, it will depend on the different states.
Okay, so question from Adrian: is there an option for building construction as opposed to civil construction?
Okay, so no, we don't have anything at this level. But I can send you the link through. So just send us a quick email to Wage Subsidy, and I'll be able to send you the link to find the other full list and find out the other apprenticeship.
And you'll give them an email at the end. People can email too, won't you? Okay, now here is a really good question from Pramnil. Question 1, are there any clawback provisions? And for instance, say the staff doesn't pass the 6 months probationary period, do you have to pay back the wage subsidy?
Not that we've seen of at the moment at all.
No,
so there's a little declaration that you do sign, and you've got when you get your sheet, you'll be able to see a copy of that when you put it up. But no, if the people are not training and have cancelled their training, then your wage subsidy cancels as well.
Yeah, so if you put them on and you don't do anything about training them, and you're trying to sort of work the system, then there is a provision in the rules that says that the government can make you pay it back, but that's only if you're up to something dodgy. If they work for you for 6 months and you're training them and then they leave, then it just stops when they leave, right?
Yes. So yes, because we have to declare, so as the training provider, we have to make sure that the people are still training, and we'll be talking to you regularly, with some virtual coffee catch-ups, just to check that how things are going. But yes, the people are to be moving through on their course. So you'll only be putting people on that you are generally that they are wanting to upskill and you're wanting to upskill as well.
Okay, so we have some questions about pricing, which I think we have got next, actually.
Yeah.
So we've got a question from Colin: how much does it cost for the person? So do you want to just step us through that, Anne, please?
Yeah, okay. So again, it depends on the state. So because some of the states, so typically our courses will be between $5,000 and $7,000, which means that you will be keeping $20,000 plus. But if you've got new employees in New South Wales, they will be free.
Do you want to say that again, because people might miss that?
So if lots of New South Wales employers were on the call on the webinar today. So if your employees, they are free for you. We thank the New South Wales government because they're going to pay for your training for those people. So budget for today that you're going to keep at least $20,000 per person, and plus if there's any extra incentives as well. So it's a pretty good deal. So start going to, you will definitely want to go back and think about who have you employed in those last 90 days since the end of October, because there's 20 grand at minimum, absolute minimum, depending on your state. Who have you employed in the last 12 months part-time? Yeah, and can you move those people and talk to that company and get people moved from part-time from casuals to part-time or part-timers to full-time? So yeah, so $20,000 per person for a wage rebate over 12 months, definitely worthwhile looking at.
And that's the worst case scenario, isn't it? So if you're in a state if you're in a state that doesn't fund anything and you don't get, because in a lot of states, if the person doesn't, or in every state, if the person doesn't have any other qualifications, they'll probably throw another 4,000 at you. So, you know, you could get 30-something thousand in total, but worst case, if you have to pay the fees and you don't get any extra incentives, you're still going to come out with more than 20,000 per person. Yes. New South Wales, you'll come out with a lot more. Nice.
So okay. No, we won't all shift to New South Wales today as employers, but yeah, it's definitely worthwhile if you are there.
So before you take us through how to apply, I've got a question from Sharon, which is the eligibility impacted if an individual performs multiple roles? So depending on the client needs, like project management for one client and testing at the next client. So she's got consultants who work for her. Do you want to talk about full-time workers doing part-time traineeships and explain that to us, Anne?
Yeah, okay. So again, it will depend on your state. So if you're in Western Australia, you must be doing that job 70 or 80% of the time. Other states will allow you to do, if you're doing a split sort of role, that you can do a part-time traineeship for one of those roles. So you'll only want to register once, but we can talk, so our team here in the office will be able to help you out with that. But yes, you would pick a job that part of the role that they're doing consistently for the
days
majority
a week on average, yeah. And you still get 50% of what you pay them, don't you? It's not just for the days that they're doing the job or anything. Okay, so how do people apply? What if they actually want to organise this? What do they need to do?
All right, okay. So number one, you need to identify your people that fit into those three things. So one, have you employed them since the end of October? Anybody new full-time? Anybody new that you've put on part-time in the last 12 months? So the end of January, anyone that you can move those casuals. So first job, identify those people, write them down. We'll give you a thing. There's a sheet that we're using. So the people must be registered with what's called an Australian Apprenticeship Service Network provider, which is your MEGTs, your Virtos, your Mass Nationals, your Serena Russos, Busy Group, one of those type of people. Okay, so they will require some information about the person that you are going to register, and we will give you your sheet, so that Excel spreadsheet that we're going to send through to you at the end of today's webinar. You'll start to identify the people on the employee tracking tab, and there's a video, don't panic, there's a video that goes with the sheet, and everything in green these people are going to need to know. So you're going to need to find out some details with them. You're going to need to work out a bit of supervisory things. So you're going to help you choose your course that's going to relate to the person's job, and then you're going to register, do a little bit of paperwork, and then meet with a meeting to get those registered as a trainee.
Okay, and then how do you get the money?
All right, so then after actual meeting, so we'll just go with the Busy Group today. So you're having a meeting with them to register your person, and at that meeting you apply for the wage subsidy. I think there's a form to fill out. It will give you access to a portal. You'll get a little letter to say, and then they will remember, and so if you're with the Busy Group, they will send you a reminder at the end of each quarter to upload your wage slips for that person. So it's a pretty simple process. It does take a little bit of time, but definitely when you're going $20,000 wage rebate plus upskilling your people, definitely worthwhile putting the hour or so in for every person just to get the forms filled out. So,
and it's not a long and complicated application. Once you've got it set up, then it's just a matter of uploading the pay slips and clicking the box and doing that every quarter.
Yeah. So that's sort of really easy. Okay. You provide a copy of the wage slips to the employee. They add it up, and then they put the money in the bank account. Now, usually within the 14 days, they may be running a bit late on that. So just again, watch your cash flow for that. That's all our advice there.
So we can both confirm as employers that you do get the money, but it's supposed to be sort of 14 days from the end of the quarter. But I think I'm getting the January money on this week by the sounds of it. So it's a couple of weeks late.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay.
That's not too bad. Coming. Yeah, it's still January at least.
Coffee's on Melanie this week.
Okay, I've got a couple more questions. So does the wage rebate get paid for the period the staff member is employed or when they finish a unit? So is it based on them finishing units?
No, so it's based on them being employed. So the government have made it very simple. In fact, you just put in the wage slips, but we're looking for you to be working consistently, your people on their course and completing their units. And definitely in New South Wales, that's how I get paid, is the fact that your people have to complete units for the New South Wales government to be paying me. So yes, if they're not, then we do have a legal
obligation to report, haven't you?
To report them if the people aren't doing any progress.
So it's not like you're going to ring up the first day they miss a deadline, but they do need to be actually genuinely engaging in the course. Okay. How long does the wage subsidy last? Like 50% for the duration of the course? Is there a time limit on it? What if the course runs for 18 months or what if they finish early? That sort of thing. Okay,
so it's 12 months is your wage subsidy program at the moment.
So if they finish early, it stops.
Okay. Yes, it does, because you've got to be on the course for that. So you'll find that all of our courses are designed for going over a 12-month program, and there's often 12 units in those courses, so that they'll be doing like a unit a month.
Okay, Wayne, we're going to answer your question in a moment, but if I don't, I promise I'll come back to you. So Anne, you just want to talk about how the training program works, and then we'll talk about how the payments work and all that sort of thing.
All right, so within it, you'll be able to discuss with us your course at the beginning that's going to match your people. So as I said, in business, we've got some choices of sort of customer service or administrations or operations or marketing, and then they'll be doing those units in your course. So it's a one-on-one training program. So there'll be the trainer, you get a completion coach, and I'll explain what they do. So they sort of tutor and work alongside your people, and then your assessments, and there's practical tasks they'll have to do in your business. And they'll be working on all of that in that unit for that particular month. So they'll be having calls. So there's no attendance to needing to go off to workshops or off class times. They'll have online access 24/7. There's no exams, no essays, and no silly little activities to do in booklets. They'll be working on your company policies, procedures, and systems. There's regular tutorials with Zoom. We have Zoom rooms open, and they'll be able to jump in and ask questions of a trainer that's available at that time, and monthly appointments and regular sessions. So and then they go through and work through.
So as you know, and I work with a few different training providers, and some of them were doing face-to-face learning prior to the pandemic, and then they quickly jumped to online and basically chucked all their training materials online and gave everybody a login and a password. Can you explain? That's not what you do, is it?
No, so we've been online for the last, well over 12 years now. So because we work with existing workers that have that experience and not necessarily their qualifications. And so, yeah, they've always been talking to their trainers either on Zoom or over the phone anyway. And that way it becomes a very personal thing, because you'll be working at all your assessments are based on your business's company policies and procedures. So it's very personal and very practical.
That's cool. Okay, so let's just look at some of the ideas. I know we did some brainstorming a little while ago about here's some things that people might be able to do to actually make the most of this. And bearing in mind that we are running out of time, that it's the end of January, people have basically got a few weeks now, really, if the most.
Yeah, we're encouraging all employers just to get all of their paperwork in and get their registration sort of by mid-February, and then only have 1 or 2 of your extra people to put in after that. Okay, but if you've got any part-timers, you can make them full-time for 12 months and the wage cost would probably be the same. So have a look at that. And then again, for contracts, go back to that other company we've got there you can look at. If you've got casuals, make them look at making them part-time and halve the wages bill for those as well. And also that gives a lot of stability to people as well, that the casuals will be looking for that extra stability. If you're hiring one person, and if you can find them at the moment, potentially you could put on 2 people and things. So yeah, and then get actually extra jobs done. So I know we've got lots of projects and things happening.
And you've done it yourself, haven't you? You've hired extra people on projects and put them on these traineeships, and it's a chance to not have to increase the wage budget, but to try out all those things that you've been meaning to do for ages. And
yeah, it does. And I'm talking to lots of employers that are coming out of COVID at the moment and are looking to expand, and so looking at extra people that can give them a hand in that way. Okay, so if you have been affected by COVID, especially in Victoria and the New South Wales states, there is a little bit of leniency there. So if you've got somebody who put on just over 12 months, or you've had to stood them down while they've been, in things, there is provisions for that in the looking at the timing of all of this. So keep those people in mind as well. Grab the sheet and have a look at the individual things on your state, and you can talk to your ASIN about, what sort of leniency they can give you, but there is some there.
And if they have worked for you previously and they're coming back and there's been a gap of 6 months or more, then that's fine. They're counted as a new worker, and you can do all the different courses for them. Okay,
and again, if you can't find the skills that you need, this might be the opportunity to get them trained, to find somebody who's got the behaviour and the profiling and just the attitude that you want, and that you really will fit with the good part for your business, but you may need some extra skilling. So it could be, if you're bringing on like a bookkeeper who's majority of the time, but you actually need them to know about Xero or one of the other payroll things or things, and you might be able to put them onto a course, a great business course, and then be able to pay for them to go off and do a 1 day or a short course.
Actually, that's not a bad idea, is it? So you could put someone on like a certificate 4 in business, say an office person, and then send them on like a 2-day Xero or QuickBooks course or something, because they don't need to take a whole year of learning that, but you can
you'll actually want them faster to know about how to use your QuickBooks for it. Then, or your payroll, things, if you want them to do payroll, there's lots of short courses around that you can go and you'll be able to fund it.
You've got some real estate agents on today as well, and that's the same thing for real estate agents, isn't it? They could do a business course and then do a quick version of the license course or something.
Yes, because you won't be getting so your people won't be issued their qualification under this program because early, because if you do, then your wage subsidy will finish early.
So then again, this is what you said. Anyone you've hired full-time,
part-time, and hiring before the end of February and your middle of March, then try and grab them through. So they are your big opportunities at the moment. Okay,
so we've got a question which actually ties in with this from Wayne, which is, if you're not in New South Wales and you have to pay for the course, when do you have to pay? Which I'm saying that I'm guessing, Wayne, that the question behind the question is, what happens if we pay for the course and then we get stuck and we don't get the wage subsidy and then we're out of pocket? Now, that's not your intention, is it? Do you want to explain that?
No, not at all. So we're working with you as employers, not against you. Okay, so there's no risk to you. So what happens is we do your initial paperwork with you so that you're prepared for your meetings with the apprenticeship centres to get your people registered. At that registration meeting, you need to be telling them you wish to apply for the wage subsidy. Okay, and then do the paperwork with them for that. Okay, when we get an approval through, so we're looking for forms like this that will come back and say, hi, Anne at Global Training, will you please pick up Max, who's looking at doing a certificate 4 in business? And we will say yes. And then when we're putting Max's enrolment through, then we will bill you. So we'll send an invoice and we do $2,000 on enrolment, and the rest of it is paid sort of 90 days later when you're getting money back from the government. So we're working with you on that so that it does minimise cash flow impacts and things on your business as well, so you can still access this and upskill your people.
And that's in writing, isn't it, on the paperwork that you send out to people, right? So it's basically you only pay the deposit once they've been approved for the program, and then you make the balance of the payment if you want to when 90 days later when you get your money.
Yes, if you're needing to wait for the cash flow from the government to come through, then you can pay us for that while up there.
Okay. So what do people need to do? And actually, just everybody, we're just about at the end. So if anyone's got any questions, fire them in now and I'll make sure that Anne answers them before she goes. But Anne, do you just want to step through what people need to do next?
Okay, so we're going to send you a Google sheet. There'll be an Excel spreadsheet at the end of this presentation. We'll get that out to you so you can start looking at it. There's a video that goes with it. Have a quick little look through the video so that you can walk through the sheet. It'll make much more sense to you then. We will then, on that sheet, go and have a look at so the main key things are the employee tracking tab, which is going to where you identify your people and start collecting all their details that you'll need for the meeting. And the other tabs to look at is definitely look at your state tab, and then you'll be able to download the flyers for the courses that are available for your state.
That's quite a big Google sheet. Do you need like the whole thing filled out, or do you just need a bit of it to get things started?
No. So no, to get going, there's a little quiz that you just want to even do. You can just do the little quiz, but if you know that you've got people and what they are, then you can do the other one as well. Okay. So yeah, we'll give you some options there, but it does get started with it. But running at this stage, you're going to need to get in and get this done fairly quickly. So whether or not you're going to give up some of your Australia Day tomorrow, or on Thursday morning or this afternoon, yeah, start identifying those people that you can answer a yes to and get in and make sure that you're going to not miss out on those.
We've got a question about the Google sheet, Anne, from Sharon. Oh, sorry, from Louise. Does the sheet only contain the courses that you provide?
Yes.
Yes. So it's just basically to get started on the process of matching people to these courses, isn't it?
Yes.
And another question, sorry, are the state guidelines based on where the individual lives or where the business is located?
Okay, where the individual is employed and working.
Yeah, so they could live on one side of the border and work on the other, but it's based on their workplace, isn't it?
Their workplace.
Okay, so sorry, so if people look at the Google sheet and go, oh, I don't know what to do, then what's their other option?
Okay, there is a quick little quiz that you can just do and just send us back. So I had an employer again that sent one in today. Hi Anne, I've got these people. What do I need to do with them? What course is going to be we're setting up with them? So they've just sent me a very quick little email and said, hi, I've employed this person on this date and this person this date. Yeah, can you help me work out what course is going to be good for them?
If they want to talk to a human, then how do they get hold of a human?
They can visit our website. Just jump onto globaltraining.edu.au and book a chat, or send us an email to our Wage Subsidy at Global Training, and we will definitely get you booked in with one of our account managers.
And
who
for
will
the
help
people,
you out all the paperwork.
For the people who had some specific questions earlier about like their sort of slightly unusual scenarios, just if they email that Wage Subsidy, is that the best thing to do?
That will be fine. Yep, and we'll get back to you on those ones.
Okay. And that is probably all you have to say. But now, so is there anything you want to say just to wrap up and just to...
No, so look, this is a fabulous opportunity. As Melanie and I both know as employers, yes, it works. The 220,000 other people are already on the program. The government is, saying that they are really proud that it's a successful program where they are upskilling everybody here in the country. So if you're an employer or a HR person and your company's not accessing this at the moment, then we would just really encourage you to get in and make it happen for you. So
I don't know about you, Anne, but for us being a small business, it's made an enormous difference to our plans for the next 12 months to be able to go, okay, we've got a decent chunk of our new people claiming this funding. It gives you some stability for your cash, not your cash flow so much, but your revenue. And it means that you can actually try out things that you wouldn't have done before. Like if you want to add a new product or a new service, it's a chance to experiment.
Absolutely, yeah. So we would really just say, check this out fully. It is ridgy-dig, it is things, and just don't miss out. But to access it, you're really going to have to get moving in these next couple of weeks to do it. So, but it's not hard. We've got employers that will say, yes, I'm going to get this done. And then an hour and a half later, they've got their paperwork back into us.
Actually, didn't you have one the other day that it was like something like 82 minutes from when he first found out about it to when he did his paperwork?
And I've got a couple of employers that are looking to try and beat that, and they've definitely overnight been sending their forms in, and that we can be working with them. So yeah, we've got a team here that'll certainly be working with you so that you don't miss out. But yeah, our big word of warning is that the timeline will be ticking, because we just do not know how long the registration appointment time is going to be. Booking close to the end of March to get in with the meetings with the apprenticeship centres.
So actually we've got a question from Lena, and that leads to one other related question, and then you can tell everybody a bad joke and that will probably clear the room. So what happens after the cut-off at the end of the March? Are there any more subsidies and incentives for training, is Lena's question. And I guess the related question is, the wage subsidy doesn't stop at the end of March, does it?
No, so the wage subsidy doesn't stop. So it kicks in from when you registered for those 12 months.
So you've got to be signed up by the end of March, but you don't, but then you'll get paid for 12 months.
Yes, yeah. So the wage subsidy doesn't finish, but the registration of registering.
Okay.
Okay. So other things after that, you will still be able to bring on apprenticeship trainees, but you will only be up to state funding, and federal funding by then. There is job trainer programs running from states for a couple of people, but they're mostly unemployed people or you people that are under 24. So there's a bit of subsidy towards that, and then again, up to the state programs that run. So we have, so for your existing workers, we've got people from New South Wales, and they can be getting subsidised training there.
You'll still be able to do free. You'll still be able to do traineeships for new workers for free in New South Wales, won't you? It's just that the wage subsidy, there won't be a wage subsidy.
There won't be the wage subsidy. So, so the advantage at the moment is that the Commonwealth Government's wage subsidy helping employers bring on new team members as we open up the economy again.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, everybody. We don't have any other questions. Just let me check. No, that's it. So now I should just warn everybody, this is how Anne gets everybody out of the webinar room really quickly, is she tells bad jokes. So go ahead with your bad joke and goodbye, everybody, and thank you for coming.
All right, here's one. When I got to work this morning, my boss stormed up to me and said, "You missed work yesterday, didn't you?" And the employee said, "No, not particularly."
Oh, very good.
All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Enjoy Australia Day for this week, and look forward to working with you very soon. So give us a call at Wage Subsidy, and we will send you out a link to this webinar from today, as well as a sheet that you can start looking at and a quick quiz.
Thank you, Anne. Great work. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.